The stars burned like cold fire outside the giant alien space station. It was a place where many travelers passed, seeking entry to new worlds, new markets, and sometimes a new life. The border was guarded by strict alien officers, trained to trust no one. Among them was Commander Vanar, tall, strong, with silver-gray skin and sharp glowing eyes. He followed the rules with iron discipline, and he believed rules were the only thing that kept peace in the galaxy. That day, a small human ship approached the station. Its signals were weak, as if the ship had traveled far and suffered damage. Inside was a young human woman. Her name was Alina. She had traveled across dangerous sectors, risking pirates and storms of space. Her face was pale but determined. Her voice carried a soft tremble when she spoke to the border channel. "Please, I request entry," she said. "I have urgent reasons. I must pass through." Her words were clear, but her eyes, when shown on the screen, carried fear and desperation. Vanar watched silently for a long moment. He could sense she was hiding something. He could feel her fear, and yet he could not allow himself to bend the law. "You are human," Vanar's deep voice replied, calm but firm. "Human ships are not allowed in this sector without highest clearance." Alina pressed her hands together, almost begging. "Please, I am not here to cause trouble. I am only one traveler. My ship is small, my cargo is harmless." Her words reached him, but he did not show mercy. He had denied many before, and he believed he was protecting his people. He believed rules mattered more than tears. "I am sorry," Vanar said coldly. "Your request is denied." The gate lights on the massive border ring turned red. Her ship was refused entry, forced to drift away into the empty darkness. For a moment, Alina closed her eyes and the screen went silent. Her ship slowly turned, engines weak, heading toward the border's edge. Vanar turned away, but something deep inside him felt uneasy. The control deck. Other alien officers returned to their duties. They congratulated Vanar for his strict judgment, but he felt no pride. Instead, he replayed the human's voice in his mind, the sound of desperation. He had seen fear in many travelers, but hers was different. It was not fear of being denied, it was fear of something worse waiting outside. As Alina's ship faded from the station's scanners, warning symbols suddenly flashed across the console. A storm of strange energy was building near the asteroid belt, not far from the border, radiation levels rising, magnetic fields twisting dangerously. Vanar leaned closer to the screen, his sharp eyes narrowing. He saw the human ship's weak path heading dangerously close to the unstable zone. He froze for a moment, feeling a sudden weight in his chest. He had denied her, sent her away into danger. If she continued, her small ship might be destroyed. He told himself it was not his responsibility. He had followed the law. He had done his duty. But the uneasy feeling grew stronger. Why had she begged so hard? What was she carrying? And why did she look as if her life depended on entry? In the silence of his mind, he remembered her last look. Her lips whispered softly before the signal cut, "Please, believe me." The words pierced through the shield of his discipline. He sat there in the command chair, his officers moving around him. But for the first time in years, Commander Vanar felt doubt. Hours passed slowly. Reports came in from scouts. Near the asteroid belt, they spoke of strange energy storms swallowing small ships. A trader vessel barely escaped with heavy damage. Vanar listened, and his heart grew heavy. The image of the fragile human ship drifted through his thoughts. He imagined her lost, swallowed by storms, dying in the darkness because of his denial. He stood up suddenly, his decision not yet clear, but his body moved with restless force. He walked to the viewing deck, staring out at the endless stars. The galaxy seemed peaceful from a distance, but he knew it was full of dangers unseen. He whispered to himself, she should not be out there alone. The silence of space pressed hard on his conscience. The rules had protected his people for years, but sometimes he wondered, did the rules blind them to real danger? He clenched, his fists torn between duty and something deeper. Was it regret? Was it guilt? Or was it something even more dangerous? Compassion. Far away, Alina's ship flickered weakly on a small corner of the radar. Its signal was faint, almost vanishing. Vaynar's eyes locked on it. He felt a cold shiver across his skin, and for the first time, the great Commander Vaynar wondered if he had just made the greatest mistake of his life. The stars outside the border station burned quietly, but for Vaynar, silence was no longer peace, it was the sound of his regret beginning to grow. The border station was calm, filled with the steady sound of humming engines and flashing lights, but inside Commander Vaynar's heart, there was no calm. The decision he made earlier pressed heavy on him. He had denied the human girl, Alina, without mercy, and now her fragile ship drifted into a region that even trained soldiers avoided. Reports came from scouts. The asteroid field near the border was unstable. Strange energy storms were forming, tearing metal apart. Ships bigger and stronger than hers had been lost in those fields. Vaynar listened in silence, his jaw tight, his eyes fixed on the console. He told himself again, "I only followed the law." But the words felt hollow. He opened the records, replaying her last message. Her soft voice filled the command deck. Once more, "Please, I have urgent reasons I must pass through." He studied her face again on the frozen screen. Her eyes were wide, filled with both fear and determination. Why had she risked so much to reach this border? Why did she look as if the universe itself was chasing her? Vaynar shut the record, but the image stayed inside his mind. Other officers noticed his silence, but none dared question him. He was a commander known for strength, not doubt. But deep inside, doubt was burning like fire. Every rule he lived by now felt like a chain around his heart. The station alarms suddenly flickered. A faint distress signal appeared on the scanners, weak, broken, but clear. It was her ship. Alina was calling for help. Her voice cracked through the static. "This is ship, losing power. Please, anyone. Help." Vaynar stood frozen. His officers looked at him, waiting for his order. The law was clear. Humans were not to be aided without command approval. But his heart pounded. If he ignored her now, she would surely die. The weight of his denial grew heavier. He had turned her away, and now he would watch her perish, unless he broke the rules. "Commander, what are your orders?" an officer asked. Vaynar's sharp eyes scanned the room. Every officer was waiting, every pair of glowing eyes fixed on him. But inside him another pair of eyes haunted him. Human eyes filled with desperate hope. He whispered to himself, "If I let her die, will the law protect us, or will it stain me forever?" The silence stretched until it felt like stone. Then, without warning, he ordered, "Track her signal, send a patrol ship at once." The officers hesitated, shocked. One spoke. "Commander, she is human. This action is forbidden." Vaynar's voice cut like steel. "I gave an order. Follow it." The room filled with uneasy silence. No one dared resist. The patrol craft was prepared, engines heating. For the first time in years, Commander Vaynar was breaking his own code. He walked to the viewing deck as the patrol ship left. The stars glowed cold. The asteroid field shimmered with deadly light. The storm was growing. He could see the dangerous waves of energy rippling through space. Her small ship was almost lost within the chaos. The signal flickered weakly, but still alive. Every flicker felt like a beat of his own heart. As he stared, memories stirred. He remembered his training, the endless lessons drilled into him. Obey the law, trust no human, protect your world from their lies. He had believed those words without question, but now, when faced with one fragile life, those words felt smaller. The galaxy was wide and rules were only walls, but compassion was something deeper, something stronger. The patrol ship drew closer to Alina's weak signal, but then another alarm echoed through the deck, unidentified. Readings near the asteroid belt. Not just storms, but movement. Vaynar leaned forward, his voice sharp. "Show me the scan." The screen flickered, showing shadows moving between the rocks. Ships, hidden, waiting. But not as people. These were raiders, scavengers who hunted the weak. Vaynar's eyes widened. Alina was not only fighting the storm, she was about to fall into the hands of raiders. If they caught her, she would face a fate worse than death. His chest tightened, regret slicing deeper. If he had let her pass, if he had protected her earlier, she would not be there now. Every second reminded him of his failure. Every moment felt like punishment. He whispered under his breath, "I sent her to this." The patrol ship was closing in, but the raiders were faster. Vaynar's hands curled into fists. For the first time in his long service, he wished he could erase his own command from earlier. Denying her had been the easy choice. Now he faced the weight of that choice. He stared into the stars, the glow of the storm lighting his face. His officers still watched him with unease. But in his mind, one truth was clear. He could not stand by any longer. He had to act, or the human girl's blood would be on his hands forever. And so Commander Vaynar prepared himself, not just for battle with raiders, but for battle against his own rules. His heart whispered the truth he did not want to admit. The law had made him strong, but now compassion was making him human. In the cold silence of space, the regret had begun, and it was pulling him toward a path he could never turn back from. The patrol ship moved fast through the dark sea of stars. Its engines burned bright, cutting across the edge of the asteroid field. Inside the command deck, Commander Vaynar stood tall, his sharp eyes fixed on the shifting radar. Every flicker of light showed danger. Every signal reminded him of the human girl, Alina. Her weak distress calls still echoed in his mind, and with every second the signal grew weaker. "Status," Vaynar demanded, his voice low but filled with power. "Target signal ahead," replied the pilot. "Her ship is losing power. Shield's almost gone." Vaynar's chest tightened. He knew her small vessel was not built to fight storms like this. Even strong warships struggled against these gravitational waves. The rocks spun wildly, glowing with strange energy, crashing into each other like angry beasts. Any wrong move could crush a ship into dust. The patrol ship pushed forward. Metal groaned under the pressure. The crew looked nervous, but none dared disobey their commander. Vaynar himself had left the safety of the border station, breaking the law, breaking his oath. But he no longer cared. All that mattered was the fragile signal that called to him like a heartbeat in the void. At last the human ship appeared. It was caught between spinning asteroids, tossed around like a toy. Its engines flickered weakly, sparks bursting from broken panels. Inside, Vaynar could see Alina struggling to keep control. Her hands moved quickly over the controls, her face pale but filled with stubborn fire. She refused to give up. Even when the void was ready to swallow her, "Lock onto her ship," Vaynar ordered. "Prepare tractor beam." The crew rushed, pressing controls, aiming carefully through the storm. But before they could act, another alarm screamed. The shadows appeared again on the scanners, raiders sliding between the rocks like predators. Their ships were old and broken, but fast and armed with deadly claws. They had found her too, and they were moving in. Vaynar's eyes narrowed, his voice thundered, "Shields up, weapons ready." The patrol ship shook as energy blasts cut through the storm. Bolts of red light streaked across space, smashing into rocks, sending burning fragments flying. The raiders were closing, hungry for prey. Alina's ship had no chance alone. She would be captured, her cargo stolen, her life ended in chains. Vaynar's heart pounded. He felt the full weight of his earlier choice. It was he who denied her safety, and it was he who had driven her into this death trap. Now only he could undo the damage. He shouted, "Cover her, draw their fire, bring her under our protection." The crew obeyed instantly, firing bursts of energy into the storm. Rocks shattered, raiders pulled back for a moment, but they were many, more than the patrol ship could handle. The storm roared louder, gravity twisted, ships spun dangerously close to colliding. Alina's vessel shook violently, pieces breaking away into space. Her faint voice came again through the channel. I can't hold much longer. Vaynar closed his eyes for a brief second. That voice was not only a plea, it was a test of his soul. He slammed his hand on the console, his voice strong. Engage tractor beam now, pull her in. The beam shot out, a blue light wrapping around Alina's small ship. The patrol ship strained, engines roaring, pulling against the wild gravity. Metal screamed as if it would tear apart. But slowly, her ship began to move, dragged towards safety. The raiders saw this, and their attacks grew fiercer. Bolts of fire crashed against Vaynar's shields, sparks bursting across his deck. Yet he did not waver. Hold steady, he commanded. His crew gritted their teeth, hands flying over controls. The shields flickered, nearly breaking, but the tractor beam held strong. Finally, Alina's ship came close, pulled under the protection of the patrol vessel. She was safe for now. But the danger was far from over. The raiders circled like vultures. Waiting for weakness, the storm howled, tearing apart any path to escape. Vaynar's mind raced. He had saved her from death, but in doing so he had broken the law. His own people would judge him harshly for this. And yet, when he looked at her, ship clinging to life near his, he felt no regret. Instead, he felt something new, something stronger than duty. A quiet voice inside whispered, this was the right choice. The communication screen flickered. Alina appeared, her face pale, sweat. On her brow, her voice shook but carried strength. You saved me, she said. Her eyes locked on his, filled with both shock and relief. For a moment, Vaynar said nothing. He only stared at her, and in that silence he realized the truth. He had denied her once, but fate had given him another chance. Behind them, the storm grew wilder. The raiders pressed closer. The fight was not finished, but the rescue had begun. And with it, the bond between alien and human had been forged in fire, a bond that would change the galaxy forever. The storm slowly faded behind them. The patrol ship drifted into calmer space, shields cracked, hull burned, but still alive. Alina's small vessel was pulled close, locked to the patrol ship like a wounded bird resting on a stronger wing. The crew sighed in relief, but their eyes still showed fear. The raiders had not gone far. They lingered at the edge of the storm, waiting for another chance. Inside the patrol deck, Commander Vaynar stood silent. His heart still beat fast from the rescue. He had broken the law, risked his ship, and chosen compassion over duty. But now, as Alina's face flickered again on the screen, he knew this was only the beginning. Her voice came through, soft but urgent. Commander, I must speak with you. Alone. Vaynar nodded, signaling his crew to mute the channel. A moment later, Alina was brought aboard the patrol ship. She stepped through the airlock, weak but still holding herself with pride. Her clothes were torn from the struggle, her hands dirty, but her eyes burned with fire. Vaynar studied her quietly. She looked fragile compared to the towering alien soldiers, yet there was something powerful inside her, something unshaken even after near death. He spoke in his deep, steady voice. You risked your life to reach this border. Why? Alina's lips pressed together. She hesitated, then slowly reached into her pack. She pulled out a small container, black metal with glowing blue lines across its surface. The light pulsed like a living heartbeat, soft but strong. The crew nearby stepped back, their eyes wide. Vaynar narrowed his gaze, his voice low. What is that? Alina held the container close to her chest. This is why I came. This is why I begged for entry, she whispered. Vaynar stepped closer, the glow reflecting on his sharp silver skin. Her voice grew heavier, each word filled with weight. This carries the cure, a cure for a sickness spreading across human colonies, but not only humans, it can spread to other species too, even yours. The words struck Vaynar like thunder. He froze, his eyes locked on the container. If what she said was true, this small, fragile human held something that could decide the future of millions. He felt a cold shiver, but he did not let his voice shake. Why keep it hidden? Why not share it openly? Alina's eyes dropped, her voice filled with sorrow. Because not everyone wants peace, Commander. Some want war. If the wrong hands find this, they will twist it, use it as a weapon instead of a cure. She looked directly into his eyes. That is why I could not explain at the border. If your leaders had known, they might have taken it from me, and it would be lost. Forever. The deck grew silent. Every officer nearby felt the weight of her words, a cure that could heal worlds, a cure that could also be turned into a weapon of mass death. Vaynar's heart twisted with conflict. He had been taught humans were selfish, dangerous, liars, but standing before him was a human willing to die to protect life. Her desperate eyes were not lying, they carried truth sharper than any blade. Vaynar's voice was heavy. You mean to say I denied you? When you carried hope for both our people? Alina nodded, her voice trembling. Yes, and if I die, that hope dies with me. The words pierced him deeper than any wound. For a moment he could not answer. He thought of the moment he turned, her away. The red lights of denial flashing, her ship drifting into darkness, regret burned hotter, stronger. He clenched his fists, swearing silently that he would not fail her again. But before he could speak, alarms screamed across the patrol deck. The raiders had returned, more of them, larger ships breaking from the storm's shadow. They had tracked the container's energy, drawn like predators to blood. The crew scrambled to battle positions. Alina clutched the container tighter, her face pale. They know, they can sense it, they will never stop hunting us now. Vaynar turned sharply to his officers, his voice a storm of command. Raise shields, prepare all weapons, keep her safe at all costs. The crew obeyed without hesitation. Though many were unsure, though their law forbade protecting humans, they followed their commander's fire. For the first time, they saw him fight not only for duty, but for something greater. Alina's voice shook, but her words cut through the noise. Commander, if you give me to them, they might leave you alive. But if you protect me, they will destroy you. Vaynar looked at her, his glowing eyes unblinking. His answer was simple, cold, and yet filled with iron. I denied you once. I will not do it again. The deck shook as enemy fire struck the shields. The stars outside lit with explosions. The raiders came like wolves, circling, biting, waiting to tear them apart. But inside the patrol ship a decision had been made. A secret had been revealed. And Commander Vaynar now carried a burden larger than the galaxy itself. He would protect the cure, he would protect the girl, even if it meant breaking every law, even if it meant turning against his own people, because in her hands was not just humanity's survival. It was hope for all. And Vaynar, for the first time, felt what it truly meant to fight for more than duty, to fight for life itself. The patrol ship shook under the weight of enemy fire. Alarms screamed, sparks burst from panels, and the crew fought to hold control. Outside, the black sea of space burned with flashes of red and gold. The raiders had arrived in full force, their ships circling like wolves around a wounded beast. Commander Vaynar stood firm in the center of the command deck. His silver eyes glowed cold, sharp as blades. Maintain shields, he ordered. Do not let them touch her. Every officer obeyed, though fear showed in their voices. They had never faced so many raiders at once, and the enemy ships were fast, slipping between asteroids with deadly skill. Alina clutched the glowing container close to her chest. She stood near the side of the deck watching the chaos. Her breath came fast, her body weak from exhaustion, but her spirit refused to break. She whispered softly, almost to herself. They won't stop, not until I'm gone. Vaynar heard her words. His jaw tightened, his chest burned with anger. He had denied her once. He had almost left her to die. Now he swore he would not let these raiders take her, not while he still breathed. Commander, shields dropping, shouted the defense officer. Enemy ships are too many. They are pushing us into the asteroid field. Vaynar's eyes narrowed. The raiders were clever, using the field as both cover and weapon. If the patrol ship went too deep, the storm would crush them, but if they turned back, the raiders would cut them down. The commander's mind raced. Every option was dangerous. But then he saw Alina's pale face, her desperate eyes, and he knew there was no choice. He had to risk everything. "Helm," he commanded. "Take us into the field." Gasps filled the deck. "Commander, the field will destroy us," the pilot protested. Vaynar's voice thundered like iron. "It will destroy them too, now move." The patrol ship plunged forward, diving into the spinning maze of rocks. Asteroids tumbled in every direction, glowing with strange energy. The storm-twisted space, gravity pulling like unseen claws. The raiders followed, hungry, reckless, but inside their speed was danger. The first of their ships slammed into a drifting boulder, exploding in fire, fragments scattered like burning rain. Still, many raiders remained, chasing through the deadly maze. Their weapons fired again and again. Bolts of red light struck the patrol ship, shields flickered, alarms screamed. Alina gripped a rail, her knuckles white. Every blast felt like the end, every shudder felt like death reaching closer. Vaynar stood like a mountain, his voice steady. "Evasive pattern Delta. Hold the line, push through." The crew obeyed, their hands moving fast, their fear hidden by discipline. The patrol ship twisted between giant rocks, diving under crashing debris, each maneuver cut, closer to destruction. But each one also kept them alive. Behind them, raiders struggled. Some ships collided with each other, some broke under the storm, but still the strongest remained. Their leader's voice cracked through the comms, filled with cruelty. "Hand over the human and we will let you live." Every officer turned toward Vaynar. Waiting for his answer, he did not hesitate, his voice cold as stone. "She is under my protection. You will not have her." The comms went silent, then filled with laughter. The raiders answered with heavier fire. The chase grew darker, deadlier. Alina stepped forward, her voice trembling but strong. "Commander, if you give me to them, maybe they will stop. Maybe you can save your people." Vaynar turned to her, his silver eyes burning. "No. Your life carries more than your own weight. You hold the cure. You carry hope, and I will not let hope be destroyed." The deck shook again as another blast ripped into the hull. Sparks flew, metal bent, the ship groaned like a wounded beast. The crew shouted, "We cannot take much more." But still the commander's voice stayed calm. "Keep going. Find a way out." Suddenly the storm shifted. A massive asteroid split in two, releasing a wave of energy. The patrol ship spun wildly, nearly crushed. Alina fell to the ground. The container rolling from her hands, its glow lit the deck, pulsing brighter, stronger. The raiders saw it too, their ships rushing faster, desperate to claim it. Vaynar grabbed the container and handed it back to her. His voice was low, fierce. "Never let this leave your hands no matter what happens." She nodded, clutching it tightly once more. Her eyes met his, filled with both fear and trust. The chase pushed deeper into the storm. Asteroids smashed together, fire burned across the void. One by one, raider ships fell, but still the leader pressed on. His ship larger, stronger, refusing to give up. Vaynar clenched his fists. He knew this battle would not end with escape alone. Soon, a choice would come. A choice that would decide who lived and who died. The crew waited for his command. The raiders drew closer. The storm howled louder. Alina's heart pounded as she held the container, and Commander Vaynar stood tall, ready to lead them through the fire. The chase was not over. It had only just begun. The patrol ship limped through the storm. Its shields cracked, its engines weak, but still alive. Asteroids drifted around them, like giants glowing with strange light. Behind, the last raider ship still followed, relentless, refusing to give up. Commander Vaynar stood at the center of the command deck, his jaw tight, his silver eyes burning with focus. Every officer looked to him, waiting for the next order. But before he could speak, another signal came through the comms. It was not the raiders, it was his own people. The voice of his alien commander filled the deck, deep and cold. "Vaynar, you have broken protocol. You aided a human. You disobeyed the law." The crew froze, fear spreading across their faces. The voice continued sharper. Hand over the human and her cargo, or face punishment as a traitor. The weight of the words struck heavy. Every officer turned their eyes to Vaynar. Their loyalty was strong, but fear of the law was stronger. Even Alina felt her heart sink. Her hands clutched the glowing container tighter. She whispered, "They know about it, don't they?" Vaynar's silence filled the deck. Inside, his thoughts clashed like storm and fire. All his life he had followed the law, trusted it, lived by it. It was the law that made him commander, that gave him honor. But now the law demanded he give up an innocent life. It demanded he abandon hope itself. His eyes locked on Alina. She looked small in the great alien ship, but her gaze was steady. "Commander," she said softly, "if you hand me over, maybe they will forgive you. Maybe they will spare your people." Her voice trembled, but her words carried strength. "I don't want others to suffer because of me." Vaynar's chest burned. He had denied her once, and regret still haunted him. Now fate gave him another choice, a harder one. He could obey the law and save himself, or he could protect her and be branded a traitor. The weight of that choice pressed harder than the storm outside. The commander's voice from the comms grew louder. "Vaynar, obey your oath or we will strip you of rank and honor. This is your final warning." The crew waited, their hands trembling over the controls. Some wanted to follow the higher command. Others trusted. Their leader, the ship shook again under raider fire. Sparks flying, alarms screaming. The galaxy seemed to hold its breath, waiting for his answer. Vaynar stepped forward, his tall frame casting a shadow across the deck. His voice was deep, steady, unshaken. "No, I will not hand her over." Gasps filled the deck. The officers looked at each other in shock. The voice on the comms turned furious. "You would betray your own kind for a human." Vaynar's eyes glowed brighter, his tone iron. "I am not betraying my kind. I am protecting life. I am protecting hope." The comms went silent. Only the sound of the storm and raider fire remained. Every officer now knew the truth. Their commander had chosen his path, and there was no turning back. Alina's eyes widened, her voice soft. "You chose me." "Over them." Vaynar looked at her, his face calm but his heart heavy. "I chose what was right," he answered. His words carried no regret, only truth. The raider ship attacked again, blasting through the storm. The patrol ship shook violently. Almost breaking apart, the crew shouted, "Commander, we cannot hold much longer." But Vaynar raised his hand, his voice filled with fire. "Then we will hold until the end if that is what it takes." Alina's heart raced, her hands shaking around the container. She had never met anyone who would risk everything for her. She felt fear, but also something stronger. A bond, a trust, a belief that maybe not all aliens were enemies. Maybe some could see beyond law and blood. The comms flickered again. The alien commander's voice returned, now darker. "Vaynar, you have chosen your path. You are no longer one of us. From this moment you are exiled, hunted, and forgotten." The words cut like knives. Every officer felt the weight. They were now outlaws, cast away from their own kind. But Vaynar stood tall, his face unshaken. He had lost his honor, his rank, his home. But he had gained something greater. The chance to protect hope. The chance to correct his greatest mistake. The raider ship drew closer, firing again. The patrol ship spun through the storm, debris tearing at its hull. The chase had not ended, and now the weight of exile pressed upon them. But Vaynar's choice was clear. He would fight, not for law, not for honor, but for life. Alina stepped closer, her voice trembling but strong. "Commander, I will not let your sacrifice be for nothing. I will carry this cure to the end, no matter the cost." Her eyes locked. With his, for a moment, the storm outside seemed quieter. A human and an alien, once enemies, now bound together by choice and fate. The raiders roared. The storm howled. The galaxy waited. And Commander Vaynar prepared for the final battle, knowing the path he had chosen would change everything. The storm slowly broke apart. The patrol ship emerged, battered and smoking. but still alive. The Raider leader's ship followed close, larger and stronger than the rest. It was the last obstacle between Alina and her mission, between Vaynar and redemption. The command deck shook as another blast struck the hull. Panels cracked, alarms screamed. The crew shouted warnings, but Commander Vaynar stood tall, his silver eyes burning with fire. He had lost his honor, lost his place among his people, but he had gained a purpose greater than any title, and he would not let that purpose die here. "Target their engines," he ordered, his voice calm and firm. The patrol ship turned, weapons firing into the darkness. Bolts of blue energy slammed into the Raider ship, metal tore, sparks burst, but the enemy did not fall. The Raider leader's voice filled the comms, cruel and mocking. "You cannot escape, alien traitor. Hand over the human and the cure, or you will both die." Vaynar's jaw tightened. His answer came like thunder. "Then we die fighting." The crew roared in unison, their fear burned away by their commander's strength. Even Alina felt her heart rise with new courage. She clutched the glowing container tighter, whispering, "We will not lose, not now." The battle raged. Asteroids crashed around them. Explosions lit the black sky. The patrol ship dove and twisted, avoiding deadly fire, but every strike weakened them. Every second dragged them closer to defeat. Still, they refused to surrender. Every officer fought with fierce loyalty, not to the law but to their commander's choice. Alina moved to the console, her hands shaking but determined. "Commander, I know their weakness," she said quickly. Vaynar turned, his eyes sharp. "What weakness?" She pointed at the glowing readings on the enemy ship. "Their reactor is unstable. The storm's energy is making it worse. One good strike there will destroy them." Vaynar's eyes narrowed. It was dangerous, nearly impossible, but it was their only chance. He gave the order, his voice strong. "All weapons, focus fire on that point, now." The patrol ship unleashed. Its fury, blue bolts cut through the storm, smashing into the Raider ship's reactor core. The enemy leader shouted in rage, his voice breaking. "You fools, you will destroy us all." The core glowed brighter, shaking, burning. Then, with a roar louder than the storm itself, the Raider ship exploded. A wave of fire ripped across the asteroid field. Rocks shattered, fragments scattered into the void. The patrol ship was thrown, by the blast spinning wildly. The crew held on, shields barely holding. When the light faded, silence returned. The Raiders were gone, destroyed. Only the patrol ship remained, drifting in the quiet stars. The crew cheered, relief filling their voices. They had survived against impossible odds. Alina's eyes filled with tears. She looked at Vaynar, her voice soft. "You saved me. You saved all of us." Vaynar's gaze stayed steady, but deep inside, his heart finally eased. For the first time in many years, he felt peace, but peace did not last long. The comms flickered again. A new signal came, not from Raiders, but from his own people. The voice of his alien commander returned, colder than before. "Vaynar, you destroyed our allies. You chose the human over us. For this, you are a traitor to the Empire." The crew froze, fear creeping back. Vaynar stood tall, his voice calm but heavy. "I chose life, I chose hope. If that makes me a traitor, then so be it." The voice replied, dark as shadow. "Then hear this, Vaynar. This is not the end. This is only the beginning. The human carries more than a cure. She carries the key to war." Alina's eyes widened. Her voice trembled. "What do they mean? What key?" But the comms went silent, leaving only the echo of those words. Vaynar turned toward her. He saw fear in her eyes, but also strength. "We will find the truth together," he said firmly. She nodded, clutching the container closer. Her heart pounded, for she knew the journey was far from over. The patrol ship drifted toward human space. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, filled with both danger and hope. Vaynar had lost everything he once held dear, but he had found something greater. A bond, a cause, a reason to fight. And as the galaxy watched in silence, one alien and one human began a path that would change everything. For in the heart of that small, glowing container lay more than just A cure, it carried the power to heal worlds or to burn them. The choice had been made, but the war had only just begun.